I do like Dorit a lot this season, and I've never been passionate about Sutton. I'm like kind of always been like, to me, she's a Shannon Beador. Their drinking's questionable. They're a little fragile. They're very similar to me.
When Sutton was storming out, again, kind of proving Kyle right. Sutton got mad at Kyle for storming out, but like Kyle was like, "You storm out a lot," and it's like, well, that's true, and she just did it again.
You will all know the truth. That's what I was thinking of as Sutton was leaving. That's why I think the Sutton Shannon Beador comparison popped in my head. That way of storming out, the coddling of those two. So I was like, yeah, I'm seeing some Sutton Beador here.
We gonna stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Hey.
Happy Thirsty Thursdays.
That's right.
Let's go back to college time.
Or Sutton's. No.
Ooh.
I'm going to get in trouble. She's going to call me a bitch on my own podcast.
Ooh. I have to say, if you want to hear Sutton call Jordan a bitch on his own podcast, you should go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Just do it. Just do it, because hopefully it will happen, because I'm going to manifest that for sure.
I mean, we could talk about it a little later in this episode, but I'm afraid to talk because she came after me online for an innocent, cute, adorable joke. Like, you know, I'm just like a playful little bunny online, and she didn't like it. If you can't guess, we are here for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Always. Oh yeah. And I have to say, the episode started off and they were still in Augusta, and I was like, really? Really? We can't just, because sometimes they'll end a trip and the episode ends and you're like, and they somehow get home and like there's no like quote unquote ending. This one had an ending to it and I was a little annoyed. However, I have to say, it kind of was endearing because first of all, I kind of got Reba's humor a little bit more in this episode. Like, although I think it's easier to deal with her humor if you're not her daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even Garcelle was kidding around with her, joking around. They seem to actually have a banter. Like, I was like, okay, she doesn't seem as racist as we.
I know that.
She still could be.
I was like, she's being playful. I'm going to miss some of you. I also think she grew into the camera. I do think by the end of this trip, she understood the game, and maybe she was on edge. She's from a quiet. She's a therapist from from a southern town, and you have the camera crews in your house, and she's probably like not a great relationship with her daughter. She's probably like, oh no. So I think she softened.
Yeah, she did. And I mean, when she said, "I love you" to Sutton, I mean, there's a part of me that was like, really? Sutton hasn't heard her say that? Like, and Garcelle was like, there are people out there who don't. And that made me really sad that, because I mean, I come from a family where we do say I love you a lot. And I tell my friends that I love them all the time. And so that's really big. And in the after show, Sutton said that, oh yeah, my mother told me that she loved me on my birthday in September. She's like, I haven't heard it since, but I got it twice in 1 year. And I was like, way to go.
Let's be real. Reba is a smart woman. She's retiring. She lives in the house of her very wealthy daughter. She's like, it's like, I think I'm gonna.
And apparently her male friend passed away afterwards too. Yeah. So that's so she's a little lonely too. So
that's good. I was basically saying she's scamming her daughter and she's a black widow
I'm not saying that she's not that either, but I'm saying it might be even more pressing now.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, we got into, it feels like Kyle is coming around to discussing the fact that, because so long this season, last season, it's been denial. With her separation with Mauricio, and where she says, "I'm normally excited to go home, but I have no one to go home to."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I did roll my eyes a bit because I was
Mhm.
just like, "Oh, Kyle." I mean, this but I did I do have to have the caveat of like, I've never been married. I do not have children. I don't know what it's like to be an empty nester or to go through any of that. So I should maybe tone down my harshness just a tad, just a tad on that, because she does have all her money to comfort her though too, in her Birkins. So
Yeah,
like, and her dogs to go home to. Like,
yeah.
oh, by the way, I'm gonna have next week coming out at least part one of Kyle Richards' astrology chart
Mm,
on PCP astrology, and then part two will be out on my own channel.
mm.
I'm gonna move all the astrology, all the Bravo astrology over to my own channel, so there'll be links and stuff like that next week. But yeah, anyway, but there's a reason that she has so many dogs. Like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense for her. Anyhow, besides the point, but yeah.
I mean, so we get into that later too. That she finally, well, I guess we should save it for later if we're going to go
Yeah, let's see it for later.
chronological. But she does, which shocked me. I mean, I didn't. But and then the other thing, of course, Bose. I think I was gonna be like, I think Bose was listening to you last week on here, but
From the future. From the future. But Bose and I are connected psychically in that sense.
like you and
I
her
do have to
cousin, telepathically,
Yeah,
like she said.
exactly. I have to say, every time they show her home, I just love it. I just love her home. I love the way it is decorated, the way that she has it. I think to me, it's very comforting. I don't know why. I think it's just beautiful. It's grand, but also comfy. Like,
Hmm.
does that make sense? Like, anyway, but I, I'm just over this having Keely's fucking baby thing. Like, I really am.
Yeah,
I really am. I really am.
she had. Here is something that occurred to me while I was watching it. Do you remember right before the Palisades fire last
Mhm.
month where she lost her home? But right before the fires broke out, she had put up that story teasing us. I'm putting something to rest, giving something up that's been a big part of my life for the last year.
Mhm.
Thought it was Keelino, thought it
Mhm.
was the show. She's come out and denied that. Maybe
Mhm.
she had accepted the fertility thing was just like not it.
Mhm.
Like she was
Well,
letting go of that.
but this is the thing, is that they've got on the after show, they've done 2 filmings of the after show,
Mhm.
and in the second filming, I believe is after the fires, because the Kyle pickup, Kyle says that she moved a lot of her valuables to Mo's, condo for the
Mhm.
fires. So I was like, "Oh, they've put these out quickly." They've been,
Yeah.
but granted, so eh, anyway, I don't, maybe either she's just continuing this line of talking because the show is still airing, but she said that she and Keely are like meeting with this doctor who's in like Las Vegas and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I am going to say this though. I kind of had this feeling, I had a little bit of it last week. I feel like maybe I need to bow out of the baby talk with her, because I don't like, anybody else telling me what I should do with my body, and maybe I shouldn't be telling her. I mean, granted, it's my opinion of like, and she's brought this to us on the show. I think the thing that I get very passionate about is that, and obviously it's something that she's aware of because of what she talked about with her cousin, is that like being so cautious with her health. Because I mean, just having a baby at 50 is really hard anyway. And she's not even 50 yet, but she'll almost be there.
Mhm.
And obviously we didn't know this until this episode. Having her first 2 children, which she only had one live birth, like, were very dangerous for her, like for her own health. And so that's so scary for her. And to have it with a man, like, these pregnancy stories are really heartbreaking. And we live in a day and age right now where it's even more scary to be a pregnant woman. And like, and having children doesn't kill men. Having children though kills women. Like,
Mhm.
it's a dangerous thing. And I think I'm like, I think now I'm gonna like after what I just said there, like I think I just need to like stop. You guys will all know you all know how I feel. It's more about like I don't want to be telling her what to do. I just am concerned about a person that I don't even know living through
Yeah.
this. So yeah.
I mean, I absolutely don't know this stuff, but I just kept thinking IVF. Like, I'm still that she's, I was just like, get IVF, you can afford it. Lots of women in
Well,
that
no,
circle do it.
surrogacy.
Yeah. That's right.
Surrogacy.
I'm sorry. See, I really don't know
Yeah.
this kind of
Yeah.
baby stuff. Surrogacy is what I was thinking of. So
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah. If she was like, we're gonna have a surrogate, but I can kind of understand wanting to carry your own baby. Not really, but in a way I do. But I just yeah, it just does. It's just a lot for a man that you do not have a solid commitment from.
Hmm.
Like she doesn't,
We
and
still haven't seen a
so
ring to this day, and this was filmed a while back.
he
We
hadn't
know.
even said "I love you" back then, and they
Yeah,
were talking about this.
yeah, we know this episode takes place around 4th of July. We don't
Mhm.
know if it was the true 4th of July. They do get holidays off, and it was around the 4th of July. I know
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
We could
Yeah.
probably track some of their Instagrams and see where we'll be like, I don't know, Kathy was in the Hamptons or like I doubt this was the real 4th of July, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Because it was a kind of a small party, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's like that they play fast and loose with time, but
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
purposes of this, it was Independence Day, which
Mhm.
um that was a fun party.
Said no one.
Everyone was having who had a good time there. Everyone got called into the argument.
Only the children had fun at that
Yeah.
party. Like a pool, a big bouncy slide. Those are the only people and people who got actually I think Erika had somewhat of a good time because she
Mhm.
got her annual hot dog
Yeah.
and she got to observe the drama.
Which
Even
you
though I was with her, she said it was exhausting and I was like, it is exhausting. It's exhausting to watch as a viewer.
yeah. Like Erika, I mean Erika that's as a season where she gets to sit back and like kind of stir the pot because they did show the scene before the party where she
Mhm.
FaceTimes Kyle and lets her know, well, you were in Augusta, we were at Kathy's, and Bose
Mhm.
was telling us she's been doing that
Mhm.
this season. I mean, I will
Mhm.
say she is trying to keep everyone informed because she's done it for all sides, but she's the messenger of the season.
She's the Lisa Rinna.
Hmm. They send her out on errands to the women's houses. Let's sit down, have a
Mhm.
drink.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, let me stir the pot. Like, I've
Mhm.
had my own drama. Let me just, like, keep the storylines going. Let me be the
Yeah.
messenger, actually. Like, I'm Mercury here, like, doing this stuff. But, yeah, no, I mean, although I think it was good for I mean, look, Kyle was gonna find out one way or the other, to be
Mhm.
honest with you, and I think it was yeah, I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
This is the thing. I don't feel like it really is that big of a news to Kyle that she comes off cold to new people
Mhm.
in her life. Like, that's not she's not because she's also not like a again, oh my god, I feel like I sound like a Kyle apologist this episode and I'm not.
Uh,
But Kyle's not like a big, in your face bitch or anything like that. She just, she's somebody who is more reserved when it comes to first meeting people. And also the way that, like, I totally agree. The way that she and Dorit have become fast friends, I would be a little reticent to be like saying opening my heart up to Bose, to be honest with you.
yeah. I mean, I d the a way you can see that the producers had Kyle's back with that, which they have not most of this season, surprisingly.
Yeah.
The flashbacks usually contradict Kyle. When Bose said she's been cold to her, they played a montage
Mhm.
of Kyle being very kind and friendly and welcoming to her. So
and showing all the times that they've like interacted like
mhm,
one-on-one too, and it's like she's just like she's getting to know Bose. Like Bose
mhm,
is a new person to her. So yeah, I mean, and I would also say I could be wrong, but I do feel that that was a bit of a criticism that Garcelle had about Kyle too when Kyle came on.
mm,
I mean, when Garcelle came on, it was like there's a little bit of a hesitancy to get to know me and stuff. And granted, when Garcelle came on, there was more Fox Force 5 there.
yeah.
So, you know, it's I think Bose has gotten a lot of a kinder Kyle, to be honest with you, because she has less people there on her
Yeah,
side.
because if I was thinking about this dynamic, which, flares up later, but we could break this part down here, which is where who was it? It was Erika who's like, these women need to stop worrying about Bose and Dorit's friendship. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, there still are elements of that Fox Force 5 or whatever they call it here. And here's my theory. They, as a group, thought this was the season to take down Dorit, to ice her out and knock her off the show. They didn't expect her to have an ally.
Okay.
And with Bose, wait, the wheels are turning here. With Bose as the newbie, they assumed she would want to sit at the power table with them.
Mhm.
And I think they're
Mhm.
really puzzled because they had identified Dorit as the weakest link for the season in
Mhm.
their minds, in their little Fox Forest dynamic.
Mhm.
Now they're one of the
Yeah,
strongest players on Dorit's side.
and they didn't realize that, like, in a lot of ways, Bose goes for the underdog. Like,
Hmm.
she and Dorit connected so quickly that it was like, "Oh, well, here's somebody who I connect with. I'm not just gonna leave her for the popular girls table right away."
Hmm.
And I really appreciate that about Bose. Like, she seems to be like I granted, I think in seasons to come, there will obviously be rifts between her and Dorit because, yeah, she does not know all the history with Dorit and these women, and she'll get to know her, and she's meeting. We all meet people at a certain season of our lives, so they're meeting each other in a season of their life, and that's good. But I do really appreciate that about Bose. She seems to
Hmm.
be a more consistent person, not a fair weather friend,
Yeah.
in that sense. Although, I will I mean, I do think it's interesting because I do think there are different factions. Fox Force 5 is there in it's like a ghost of Fox Force 5
Yeah.
because all that's left, I mean, it is Dorit, Erica, and Kyle that are three left because what Teddy and Lisa Rinna are gone because that was the five of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but if you've got Kyle and Dorit kind of fighting with each other, that breaks that up. But Sutton and Garcelle have been their only two. So I understand why Sutton and Garcelle would be kind of upset that like Bose would come in and like attach to Dorit. Does that make sense? Like I get why they would be like, hey, we're the two outcasts over here. You should be friends
Oh,
with us.
yeah.
like we've always been like kind of the weird ones on the outs with the popular girls. Like you should be friends with us. But now you're like best friends with one of the popular girls, or maybe the least of the popular girls. But now
She
that she's on the outs.
she has
I
two Bose has two very different friendships going on here in this group. She
Mhm,
has, I guess you would say, at the bottom of the she's this is not she's not thriving Dorit right now in life. You have
mhm,
her, and then it seems like, and on the other end you have Kathy, who Bose is really close with, like in real
mhm,
life too. I'm like, they're very, very different. So,
mhm.
so she picks and chooses. I mean, she's not following the script of when you join that show, the Encino,
I
the
mean,
Encino Five, or whatever you want to call
yeah. I mean, Bose gives me the impression that she doesn't kind of give a shit about that high school
it. Mhm.
hierarchy crap. She's like, I'll be friends with whoever the fuck I want to be friends with. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, we're kind of like going on
Oh
our own
yeah, yeah.
tangent.
We should.
Let's go back to the beginning of this party.
Yeah, let's circle the beginning for us or for Sutton, because there was a 39-minute gap.
Look, I'm kind of on Sutton's side with that. You say a party's going to start at a certain time, and it's your party and you're at home, no, you start on time
She
and then
could
you're
have
ready
she
on
could
time.
have first I was going to say with this one, production can do a thing to stir up controversy because remember they all arrive by car provided by production, and they will, to create friction, sometimes tell the car to circle the block. Someone else is arriving, hold off, so that scenes can build, whispering can start. But with this one, I don't think so. Because the Dorit had already run around the house getting ready for the party.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like Dorit wasn't ready. I really do think Dorit left her sitting there for a reason.
I mean, to be honest with you, I just think that's Dorit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe Dorit got told that she was sitting down there. That's very possible. But I
Mm-hmm.
also think that Dorit kind of she just like to be honest with you, just like in the after show, Garcelle Sutton and Jennifer Tilly were both like, "Oh, she's up there taking her pictures," and they were like making fun of the pictures, like looking out the glass, leaning against it. They're like, "She's doing that." I mean, Dorit is notoriously late for
Yeah.
things. So, like,
Was it Dorit with Teddy Mellencamp? That scene where
yes,
Teddy's sitting there.
Teddy was so pissed. And I was with Teddy on that one. And I wasn't with Teddy on a lot of things, but I was with Teddy on that one. Like, you have an event that is starting at a certain time. Like, so look, I was with Dorit later on when Dorit was like, "You called me a bitch in my own home." I thought that was rude of Sutton too, but
Yeah.
I was like, Sutton could have said that was really bitchy, and that would have been different. You know what I mean? Gotten across, in my opinion, the same point, but not have been as rude. But I also get like they were both wrong and they were both right. This
Yeah.
entire episode, is my opinion.
They were I was torn with this because I do like Dorit a lot this season. And I've
Hmm.
never been passionate about Sutton. I'm like kind of
Hmm.
always been like to me she's the Shannon Beador of
Yes.
Beverly Hills. I just don't click with her. But and they
Yeah.
are also kind of like their drinking's questionable. They're a little fragile. They're very similar to me, not identical, but certain ways. But I do have to say with Sutton, I mean, she did have some right to be upset here.
And Garcelle kind of said it well when when Sutton was storming out. Again, kind of proving Kyle right. Like, how dare you? Like, I wrote down, I was like, "Oh, Sutton Stracke exceptionalism this time." Of like, Sutton got mad at Kyle for storming out, but like Kyle was like, "You storm out a lot," and it's like, well, that's true, and she just did it again. But Garcelle said, "You didn't. I understand. You didn't even want to come to this
Mhm.
thing. Like, you kind of were like." Trying to do an olive branch of like, "I'll come," and then you're waiting down there for forever for somebody to come. And then okay, okay. The way Dorit was like, "Oh, is this for me?" and took her tiny little Birkin and just held it. That was like Dorit is not a comedian. She does not know how to tell a joke. And I also do not think it was a joke. It was one of those times where you say something to be mean, to be bitchy, and then you roll it back because they're not going to spar with you. And you're like, "Oh, well, it was a joke." That
Yeah.
was not. That wasn't a joke, Dorit. You
She
were being bitchy.
yeah, she was letting Sutton know that she still probably meant an apology, but you still owe me something for your behavior last time. Like she was not
Mhm.
going to let this fight. Dorit will not let a fight go this this episode or this season. This
This
season.
season. No, she's not. She's like she's in with those nails. She is in, like,
Do you
clawed in.
do you think
Oh,
it's because there's so much there's so many things are uncertain with PK and he seems to kind of
yeah.
have disappeared.
Mhm.
She really has no control of her personal life right now at
Mhm.
all. So she's
Yeah,
holding the women to the fire because everyone else in her life it's chaos.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it was nice. I mean, I'm kinda jumping ahead, but we'll come back. It was nice towards the end of the episode when when Dorit and Kyle were talking in her bedroom.
Mhm.
And it was just a really nice conversation that happened between them. I was like, this is what Erika said at the beginning of the season. Like, these two women are at each other's throats while their husbands are out partying,
Mhm.
and living it up, the single life. And they're like, but there is something when you are going through a divorce. I think for both men and women, there's a grief, there is a loss of control, like you were saying, and you kind of take it out on anybody who's around
Mhm.
you. And they're both filming, so they're taking it out on their cast members.
Mhm.
Which, you know what, I'm going to say, it might be controversial, but I would rather them take it out on their cast members for our entertainment than
Mhm.
on their children.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people take it out on their children.
Yeah.
And because they don't have cast members and are not on a reality television show. So at least they're taking it out on their cast members and getting paid for it.
A housewife in a messy divorce, her two best friends / worst enemies are her castmates and liquor. And
Yep.
good for us, bad for them, but it's another season.
Exactly.
That's another season for them, so it's good. Get drunk,
Mm-hmm.
get chaotic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
You will all know the truth. That's what I was thinking of as Sutton was leaving. That's why I think the Sutton Shannon Beador comparison popped in my head. That way of storming out, that like kind of as Bose called it, I was dying because I've used this term a lot. Coddling. The coddling of those two. So I was like, yeah, I'm seeing some Sutton Beador here.
Oh my gosh, Sutton Beador.
Yeah.
You're spot on. You're completely right. It was interesting when because Bose, obviously was like, y'all need to y'all need to come in here. This is Dorit's party, whatever she said.
Yeah.
In Dorit's defense. And then Garcelle was like, why are you being Dorit's spokesperson? And immediately it was like, girl, you've been Sutton's spokesperson. Like, and y'all know I love Garcelle, but I was like,
Yeah.
Pot calling the kettle black. Like, I was like, come on, girl.
If someone else jumped in and said that, if Erika had been like, Bose, like,
if
back
Kyle had
off.
even said that, like,
Yeah.
just like, stop being her spokesperson. But no, these were two spokespeople fighting with each other. Two PR reps just going at each other.
By the way, I did enjoy Bose in that moment. I felt a kinship with her because that's when, so the group's all broken up. Bose is over there with Dorit. Sutton's off at the side near the door, threatening to leave while everyone coddles her. And Bose can't be bothered until she notices Kathy has arrived and is standing there. And suddenly she's like, oh, wait, is Kathy there? And then she goes over. I was like, twinsies. She had that.
Because I was just like, just let her leave. Just let her. Although I did realize, because like Sutton kept getting on her phone and was like, and I was like, what the fuck is she? And I was like, oh, she's calling an Uber. And then I go, no, she's calling the driver that production. She's like, with production, she's like, get me the fuck out of here. Because she can't just go out to her car and get in it and drive away.
Right.
So I was like, but that's, and then I was like, oh, that is so smart of production to drive them there themselves, not only to like, but to also keep them there so they cannot walk out as quickly and as easily.
Right. The reason, because it's expensive. Even if, okay, just say, for example, Sutton and Dorit live about 15 minutes by street ish, 15. They don't live far. They live on different sides of the exact same hill. You would think, oh, how wasteful to probably spend $1,000 per woman per day per scene on the driver. No, it encourages them to drink. Number one, they can drink and the production doesn't have to worry about a DUI. And the other thing, like you said, is it kind of makes you kind of become their puppet because you can't escape. And they could do things like tell the driver, hold off a minute, or speed up because she's going to walk in when they're like talking about her. So yeah, you are there you're trapped.
Yeah, you definitely are. But I do, like we were saying this a little earlier, because when they all kind of like go back out there, and I think and Sutton has left. Bose really doesn't. It actually became a little bit more clear when they're sitting there out under the boiling hot cabana how much Bose does not know of the history between all of these women.
Yeah.
And because there were some things she said that I was like, it wasn't that it was just tone deaf. It was Housewives ignorant. Just that, like, she just doesn't know. She doesn't know this. And I was like, because she was saying things, I wish I'd written down exactly what it was. But because I think it was like more between like her and Garcelle talking because yes, Garcelle can be Sutton's spokesperson, but Garcelle's been there longer. Garcelle knows these things, like what's going on here. She knows how the fights that Sutton has had and like how the whole is Sutton an alcoholic thing really hurt Sutton and that stuff, how that was not just a throwaway comment that Sutton could just like leave, that Dorit knew that would hurt Sutton. She said that purposefully. It wasn't a joke. So yes, it was hurtful for Sutton to come back and call her a bitch in her own home, but it was bitchy for her to say. So like it was pointed. Like Dorit knows she's just not slinging arrows around. She's an archer. She's a sharpshooter. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, that comment I caught this because I was like going back and forth with this where Garcelle tells Bose, like, you don't know the backstory. And I'm like, well, as a veteran housewife, you're kind of the fact that Bose doesn't know the full story, assuming she doesn't. Because she seems to have gone in taking each person as they are in front of her. Like she didn't study. In a way, that's good because then if she comes in like one of those newbies on New Jersey who've studied the women and have picked their sides. So
Like
Bose,
Danielle.
yeah. So Bose does seem to be coming in fresh, which is admirable. But even with the thing, I caught where Bose did not understand what had just happened right before she walked into this party on this very day of filming. The way she interpreted it was that Sutton called Dorit a bitch, and then Dorit made a dig about her drinking. I was like, oh, this is why she's so. I caught that where, like, the way she described things, I was like, oh no, this, yeah. The drinking thing was unprovoked. That was Dorit. That was your girl, Dorit.
Because also, like, because Dorit was like, oh, Garcelle's allowed to like mention something about your drinking. And I was like, but that wasn't, I didn't take that was what Garcelle was asking. Garcelle was asking if that watermelon drink has alcohol in it in general, not just does your watermelon drink have alcohol in it? Did
Yeah.
you have them put alcohol? It was more like, does that drink have alcohol?
Like, is it a slushy or is it a
yeah.
margarita? Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is this a non-alcoholic beverage that she's serving, or is it an alcoholic beverage that Dorit is serving here? It's an alcoholic beverage, but then Dorit immediately turns it around because Dorit's in this mind space of, and I think both Dorit and Kyle are kind of in this mind space, like you're saying, like with divorces of like, because you're uncertain and because you feel vulnerable, you feel that everybody's coming at you.
Yeah.
And so I think we see this actually a lot with Dorit this season. Everything is kind of like, you're coming at me. You're coming at me. Actually, no, Kyle too. You're coming at me. You're coming. They're both like, they're like they're like dogs that, or skittish dogs.
Yeah, no, they're on edge. They're on edge, and I don't think they could take another takedown, either of them. So they're very much like out there. They're trying to keep it cool for the show because they'd like to murder their estranged ex. They're like, don't push me.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Dorit do the waiting to exhale.
Well, I don't know if she has any of PK's stuff in there. She's got plenty of her own stuff in that house. Oh my gosh.
She's a lot. And it's hard to gauge how big that house is, but it is very big. It's I think like 9,000 square feet. It just doesn't look at kind of from the outside. But when they were walking around, all those wide hallways lined with basically by the stacks of Amazon boxes, I finally had like a unit of measure, and I was like, it's like, yeah.
Oh my God. It kind of made me sick to my stomach. Just the amount of like, because being an influencer like that, like they send you hauls, like literally hauls. And I'm like, what do you do with all this stuff though?
Yeah.
Like after you do your post for them, like, oh my gosh. But real quick, going back, when Bose talks to Kyle about being distant, about being cold and distant, like, it is funny though, because we were saying like, two things can be true at the same time. That Bose doesn't know the history of all these women and everything that has happened necessarily. But she also, it's nice because she comes in with fresh eyes. So she's not fooled by Kyle, like what Kyle says. She is more like these actions say things. So I think like, but I also wonder if because of her closeness with Dorit so quickly, if some of the actions that Kyle has taken, she's like, is this genuine or is it just to get me away from Dorit?
Mm-hmm.
And if she's wondering that without really saying it per se, you know? So, and I think sometimes, to be honest with you, just like Dorit, Kyle's not a comedian either. Like they flashed back to when Kyle visited her after her surgery and she was like, oh, those are my flowers. And then those are Dorit's flowers. Like it kind of was a dig. It was a dig. It didn't come off as funny. Like,
yeah.
so
What
I
with
don't
her
know.
other deliberations that sorry, Judge Judy, and
I just was like, but I mean, Bose is influenced by Dorit. She
yeah.
comes in there with fresh eyes. I think she does give something new and a breath of fresh air and is able to call a lot of women on their stuff. But as the season goes on, she is more and more influenced by being on Team Dorit.
And too with her affinity for Dorit too, I was thinking about with the way like Garcelle's like, you don't know the whole story, you don't know. And that is maybe why Bose likes Dorit so much, because this isn't a version of herself that Dorit has offered up in
True.
previous seasons. She is meeting the
Mm-hmm.
first time the audience after all these years. We're meeting this kind of raw, quick, kind of down to earth ish Dorit. So she's not
That's a good point.
yeah, she's not air kiss. She doesn't know Bose doesn't know the Dorit who air kisses and worries about her Chanel shoelaces. You know what I mean? This is like
Mm-hmm.
so she's meeting like for the first time ever real fresh Dorit. So she might not even be able to imagine the stories that they're telling her about Dorit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The vaguely
Again,
British, vaguely Anna Wintour.
she's meeting Dorit in a different season of Dorit's life.
Mhm.
Like, so you get a different Dorit there. But I'm with Erika. I was like, I just wanted a hot dog. That made me want a hot dog, to be honest. I wanted a hot dog and I was tired. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh. Like, oh. But
Well,
then go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, then, you know, I don't even remember how Kyle wanted to go inside because it was hot. And then they go upstairs and she sees all the like the mess. But I do think it was interesting that Kyle, at least she knows Dorit well enough to go, she's in a bad spot if her house is this messy because
Mhm.
she's so meticulous about things. So it's like, hello. And I think that allowed Kyle to have more compassion in that moment for
Mhm.
Dorit. And I think that like, and then when they were sitting down though, Dorit was asking more questions of Kyle
Yeah.
too, and in a more compassionate way. Well, no. I take that back because I do think that when Dorit asked Kyle about her relationship last season, she was asking as a friend. Kyle just wasn't ready to receive it on camera.
Mhm.
But so many times it is sometimes the Dorit show. She wants to talk about herself and stuff like that. But like at least this season, and that's fine. I'm here for it. But she really was asking some very direct, compassionate, friend-like questions that I would ask a friend who was going through this.
Yeah, she wanted to know how Kyle was doing. It wasn't just asking for dirt, like, where's Mauricio today? She wanted to know how she's coping with the separation from Mauricio. And it went
And if she really wants a divorce, like,
and they went from cold to hot really quick. It was the pool scene. They were ready to like throw drinks at each other, and then I don't know, but maybe that's what they needed to get, like some sexual tension or something. They needed to get that out of the way. And then they were just,
sometimes.
then they slipped away to no, I'm not implying
And they
that.
slipped away to the bedroom.
They had a heart to heart though, but it was very quick, like the way.
Mhm. Well, and it was interesting because I think they both were not only honest with each other, but with themselves, because Kyle admitted that she and Mo have kind of been in denial at that point about their relationship and the state of their relationship and what separation really meant and what it didn't mean. And then Dorit was being honest with herself that she was realizing that PK had wanted to divorce her for a while, that he'd been checked out. And I was just like, we talked about this before, actually, I think offline, how sometimes some trips and stuff, like kind of like the Augusta trip, you don't necessarily want to see real moments from these housewives per se, but I do, but I want them to come up organically. I don't want them to be forced on me.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be some type of trip type of thing.
Like those meditation sisterhood retreats.
Exactly. But this was a conversation between friends that ended up happening organically. And I was like, here's a real moment that like cut through all the drama here, and this was real, and this was good, which ironically then leads us into the next episode. Yeah. But it also was a real conversation about divorce that I don't think it's like shown that much on television either.
It's kind of symbolic too, the way Dorit took her. I felt like Kyle finally felt comfortable and understood Dorit when she saw the mess inside her private quarters, which I will say, like, kind of symbolic, because they'd only been operating on surface level, outdoor public space event levels. Dorit took her into her chaotic private bedroom, and I think that is a vulnerable thing. And when Kyle that was when they connected beyond the show. This was like, she was like, oh, they were checking in on each other.
Spot on. Yeah. It's amazing. Life imitating art, art imitating life.
They do kind of blend. They do it like we'll see. What does Dorit ask Kyle in that condo? She's like, did Dorit ask Kyle, or did Kyle ask Dorit if they think the other one's their husband's dating?
Actually, I don't remember.
One asked,
because it kind of was. Yeah.
But I do know it was Kyle who said, I think we would know in our
group, that it's kind of hard to hide it.
In our group, referencing the show and the tabloids.
I don't think it was really a question. I think it was more, I think it was said like a question, but it wasn't a pointed question. It was like, and they could be out there. Who knows if they're out there dating somebody? And I think then Kyle's response was, well, that'd be kind of hard, to not get caught. And then literally, although I feel like by that point though, already, we had already seen the pictures of Mo in Aspen, skiing with those topless girls or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like that had already happened. Like he'd already been caught holding hands with his Dancing with the Stars partner. So there'd already been some stuff out there, but we hadn't seen we hadn't seen him kiss anybody.
Right. I'm sorry, I'm doing the math now, or just like the delayed, because last season we knew Kyle's with Morgan and that was fine, but now move forward a year, Mo's kissing other women, whatever, it's in the tabloids. She's saying she kind of is saying divorce is inevitable. I mean, that conversation between Dorit and Kyle was basically them coming to terms with the fact it's a matter of time. They haven't filmed the reunion yet, and I'm just like, do you think the timing will be sometime around the reunion that the Umanskys file for divorce?
I mean, I think that would be perfect. Then that would give Kyle a platform to tell her side of the story.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't checked. I haven't gotten an answer. Maybe you guys can see, but it occurred to me this week, not making fun of anyone. It's sad with Teddy Mellencamp under brain surgery.
Yeah.
And then Mauricio had his ski accident in Aspen, and Kyle had been at Teddy's bedside here in LA. I was like, what a test. Do you think she flew off to Aspen to check on her injured, estranged husband, or does she stay put in LA with her roommate, number one fan, bestie, Teddy Mellencamp? So
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Honestly, if you guys, I don't check everyone. I'm not one of those people who checks every Instagram story 24/7 at all.
Me neither.
So, I mean, because I know I love when people do that for us, and they'll get a good screen.
I rely on them. I rely on those accounts. I follow those accounts so I don't have to follow every housewife.
Exactly. And so I don't know. I've been waiting for someone to share it, but I mean, that is kind of a test of where she stands. The father of her her friend here is in bad shape and she's at her side. The estranged father of her children, is in another state, injured, and does she run off to see him? Or
I'm in the astrology episode that I recorded already, actually back on Valentine's Day, I did a little forecasting about, like, Dahlia had some questions about about the divorce and stuff like that. So I did a little bit of forecasting for that. So, like, kind of some things that I saw that I was like, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, overarching is that things that I saw, I was like, kind of going back to like Bo's feeling that Kyle is cold. Kyle shares a lot, but she doesn't share everything. So it wouldn't be even surprised, like, and she hasn't shared a bunch of stuff about her separation. So it wouldn't be surprised if, like, legally she's not sharing certain things.
Absolutely.
And like, you know what I mean? Like, and that would be smart. And that would be smart though.
Because I feel like I have concern. It's none of my business. It's not a personal thing, but I was just like,
none of this is any of our business.
Right. But I was like, what this extended thing does, they haven't filed at all. At least PK and Dorit took some kind of legal action. With Mauricio and Kyle, I'm like, it gives him, with his complicated business of his own, time to, they have a good financial situation going right now. She makes enough money. That's not an issue. He makes plenty of money. He does not. I think they're the type who could, like, possibly afford to just stretch this out and live their own lives, her in the house, him in the condo, because once they have to divide things up, it's worse for him than her, because the agent, like she says, the agency, they don't have a prenup. The agency has half hers. I don't know how many side chicks he can buy Ferraris for once she claimed. So I think it's in his interest to prolong this. And she here in this episode seems to be realizing, like, we're going to have to pull the plug at some point.
It's more like about when does she want to feel free? Like, let go of that ball and chain, because he's the ball and chain.
Right.
She's not.
And she has, Morgan's still around. She was there at Teddy's bedside as well. So.
Exactly. The preview for next week, though, I will say, it does not look good for Sutton. It really doesn't. Like, I'm sorry. Don't punch down like that when it comes to money. Look, we this week we're like, Dorit and Sutton are kind of like, neither one of them are looking good. And I'm like, oh, Sutton, if you're going to pull that shit, I don't even think Garcelle's going to be on your side for that one.
Wait, I forgot. I promised in the beginning to tell. Quick
Oh,
thing with Sutton and why I'm afraid. When on Dawn last year, I
yes.
made a cute little joke, adorable little joke, maybe implying that she's a, I don't know, clinical alcohol. I don't know what I said, but something basically about her and her vodka. And she replied in a tone that terrified me, not going to lie. I don't like the rich ones fighting with me because they could afford to bury me. And she basically said I was perpetuating a falsehood and she will not, one of those. Have to admit it, you guys. I slunk out of that conversation. I deleted that post.
And you never delete posts.
No, I stand in my truth, but not when it's going to cost me. She
Yeah,
terrifies me.
that was smart.
So, what I was going to say about that is because she, when I get annoyed, I kind of get a little sassy. And with next week's episode, what you were saying, I was like, Sutton, do you want PCP to start digging into your finances with your big wallet? Yeah.
I'm staying out of that. I don't
Yeah.
have Twitter account anymore. So I'm just saying this already, Sutton Stracke. I have nothing to do with Don Gunvalson parody at all. That
Oh,
is
I was
not
going to
me.
bring it
That
onto
is
this.
all Jordan Ross
I was
Myers.
going to bring it on the episode. I'm just saying, like, my thing is when you make that's when I look into people. I don't like Google
Yeah.
everyone I meet. It's when you make a bold, obnoxious statement like that. I'm like, let's see. Let's talk about your big wallet, Sutton.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, maybe you're right. If I don't, I'll be buried. Avi will be cutting me up and baby.
She might make you Avi. She might be like,
she's gonna feed me to Santos by the time I'm done with this season.
yeah, where is Santos? We haven't seen that horse in so long. Maybe she had to sell him.
Yeah. One thing
anyway.
I will say, we'll save it for next week, but I will say where just from that preview clip, I didn't take it as a flex of money. I took it as a legal threat. Because that's how I took as a poor who Sutton has threatened for my tone and colorful wording. I was like, when you say, like, what's Sutton going to do? Run to Chanel and buy a jacket before Dorit? No, she's saying, like, don't mess with me. That's just mine.
See, I take it as a mean girl thing. Is like, it's kind of like I'm thinner, prettier, and richer than you type of thing. Like you may be younger than me. You may be, have bigger boobs than I do, but I'm richer than you type of thing. That's funny how like you come at it from a male centric point of view and I come from a woman's centric point of view. Like, here we go. But but I mean, it could mean both. It could mean both.
Yeah. We'll have to watch for the context, basically.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
Yeah.
We'll find out who's right and who's wrong.
If you guys want to help with my legal defense fund against to protect myself from Sutton Stracke, it's the mystery of her fortune and drinking continues.
And me from catching any strays too. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you hit that little button right there.
Yeah.
Or follow us on wherever you get your podcasts.
You guys
These are all free.
Subscribe. It is free. It costs you nothing and brings you so much joy and luxurious toxicity. We should be charging.
We're getting so close to those 1,000.
Yeah.
We're getting close to 1,000. Yeah. I mean, look, we're getting very close to 1,000. So subscribers. God, we're so little. This will be a distant memory soon enough. And we'll be like, oh my gosh, remember we were just begging for 1,000 subscribers?
Help make our wallets as big as Sutton's so people can fear us too. Oh wait, it wouldn't be. I have to give it to them. You guys, if you guys subscribe, I promise to stop signing off this way. But until then, goodbye, darlings.